This week on the Bedroom Talk Show, we're discussing protecting your peace while running a business. With your host, Crystal J. And this week's special guest is the K District. Stay tuned. And I'm back. Every Monday, y'all know I'm interviewing a dope queen, a dope black queen at that. I cannot wait to interview her, you guys. Her name is Katani, and I'm super excited to have her. Today, we're talking about protecting your peace while running a business. And I want to say it is hard to protect your peace running a business on my end when you have multiple businesses and you're trying to figure out how to get the bag for each one. Sometimes it's very stressful. Speaking for myself, I can't speak for everybody else that own a business, but for me, your girl, I be stressed. I don't know about nobody else. And then my peace be up here. I be like, how, but I'm gonna let her tell her story. And then I got a little commercial for you guys can get to know my guests. Hi, Katani.
Hey, how are you? Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. So happy to have you.
All right. So we just gonna jump right into it because that's normally what I do.
Go right ahead.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Once again, my name is Katani Brahman. I'm the owner and creative director of the K District Concierge Branding Boutique. And what we do is offer design, graphic design, branding, consulting, and strategy for mainly people in the arts, entertainment, and events industries. But I've been doing this for about 15 years. So basically I've done it all and basically I've been probably had a hand in several different industries, but my focus is arts, entertainment, media, and events. Those are kind of like my wheelhouse. Crystal said something about owning multiple businesses. I do consider myself a serial entrepreneur, even though the K District is my baby and that's what I do full time. I also have a couple of things that I do on the side. I do special effects, makeup, and body art for the television and film industry. I do have a clothing line for tall women. I do have courses and ebooks and programs that teach creatives how to brand themselves and elevate their own brands if they don't necessarily have the funds to hire my team or a team full time. I have courses and ebooks on how people can do that, a little bit of that themselves. So like a lot of people and like a lot of Black women, we got a hand in a little bit of everything. So I know a little bit of something about a couple of tips that you can do, a couple of things that you can do to just protect your peace while you're running your business.
So let's get right into these questions. You already told a little bit of your story, but my question is, what inspired you to start your business?
I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I think before I really even knew what that meant or knew what that was, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I think it started when I was about 9 years old. I was making and selling friendship bracelets to my classmates for anywhere from like a quarter to $1, depending on the complexity. And I was totally extra with it. I was always artistic as a kid, so I drew out a little catalog. I had the order numbers. I had a form they had to fill out to do the order and they had to fill out the form. They had to put in the order number. I had the order number set to each of the items that I was selling. They had to prepay. I said, give me a week. I'll have your bracelet for you. And that's what I did all through like fourth and I believe fifth grade. And I think it just continued through there, being more realistic. As I got older, I I found myself in college, and I went to school for what I do full time, and I live in the New York, New Jersey, northern New Jersey, New York City area, where some of the top graphic design firms are in this area. So, and in college, we're pretty much prepped and primed to grab one of these jobs at one of these design firms. But as I inched closer and closer to graduation, I'm like, oh my God, I don't think I want a job. I don't think I mean, that sounds great. You sound, nice salary, all these perks and vacation and all this other stuff. That sounds really cool. But for some reason that also sounds like that's not for me. But I pursued it anyway.
I love that.
But
I love that.
But I pursued it anyway because I thought that that's what you were supposed to do. So we're kind of in a, because of the pandemic, people are losing their jobs and everything. They're calling another recession. I graduated school in the middle of the last recession in 2007, 2008, around that time. And it was just really, really hard for me to find a job. I managed to book a couple of small freelance jobs here and there. But at that time, I was still trying to find something full-time within my field. By the time I found something full-time within my field, I just really knew I didn't want to do it anymore. I actually felt happier at some freelance contracts that I did. Like I had a freelance contract with Gucci. I had a freelance contract with Aeropostale, and Gucci was only like a month. I don't even think it was that. Aeropostale, I believe I was there for 6 months. This was around 2010, between 2010 and 2013. And by the time I found a full-time job within my field, I was reflecting back on those short-term projects at some, pretty decent companies. And I'm like, and the thing I love most about them was by the time I started to get quote unquote tired of the job, my contract was about to end anyway. So
that is so funny. That's
I
kind of how I feel about my job. Like I'm like, I love it, but I'm tired of it at the same time. Like because
exactly.
we pour so much into somebody else's dream that how can you become a millionaire working for somebody else?
Yeah.
You can't. Like you probably can. Let me rephrase that. With in certain jobs you probably can, but how can you truly be a normal person and make a living trying to pour into somebody else's dream?
Exactly.
So that's
But guess
how I
what?
feel.
I still didn't learn my lesson. Still didn't. At that time, I was at this job, but still reflecting back on those past like short-term projects that I had and thinking like, I think I really was happier just doing that. But then I was let go from my full-time job and I'm back in the trenches again. And this time it got a little bit worse and I actually wound up taking a job outside of my field. And I believe this was around 2013, 2014. And I was there about a year. And it was my best friend who owned a daycare center at the time. And she told me something that I will never forget. I hope she knows that I will never forget this. If something is not a good use of your time, why do it? Now,
I love that. That makes sense. If something is not a good whatever you just said of your time, why do it? That
Now,
makes
of course,
sense.
the logical reasons are I got bills and I got, I have kids
We all got bills and kids.
responsibilities. That's the logical reason. But when you sit and really think about it,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all know how the market is. Jobs are scarce, but I think one thing that this current market has taught us that we cannot rely, even if we have no desire to have a business, we cannot rely on just one income.
No.
We don't live in the economy that our parents and our grandparents lived in. Like, when my mother worked 30 years, one job, has a nice retirement, nice pension. I think she make more money now in retirement than she did when she was when she was working. She'll say that she
But
doesn't,
it's
but
not like that no more.
exactly, it's not like that
Yeah, it's
anymore.
not like that no more.
And
It's different. And everybody I know, they have at least 3, 4 incomes coming in. I don't know one person just have one income coming in anymore. If you know somebody with one income, they must be living really good because I don't know not one single person in my life right now who has just one income. And that was a point of the reason why I wanted to interview you because you talk about protecting your peace while owning a business. And for me, sometimes that's hard when you own multiple businesses and you
mhm.
really trying to figure out boundaries with certain things, limits. Am I pushing myself too far? If I'm wearing myself too thin. And the comment we just had, one of my good she was one of my coworkers, is sick of 9 to 5. Always do what you love. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
That's why y'all always see me posting my businesses because that's what I love. Like I may work for a job, but that's not my love. I may be good at a job, but that still ain't my love. Did you guys have any
So
questions for my guests? Hmm?
that is number one. Then I'll put this out there. This is how I personally protect my peace. And
Mm-hmm.
I am totally aware that this may not work for every person. I am 37 years old. I don't have children. It's just me and my fiance here building what we can build, just in case we eventually decide that we do want children before it's too late. And so, but for what we do, number one for me protecting my peace is do something that you love. Even if you are in a 9 to 5 and you might feel quote unquote stuck there for a while, find some sort of outlet where you can just go and escape. And that can be a hobby, that can be having a spa day, having a day to shop. That can be just sitting there and sleeping, taking an hour and having a nap. Find something to escape whatever you need to escape from. So, for me, number one, I've been in the process. I spent the last 10 years or so building a life that I don't want to escape from. But even if you're stuck and you're feeling like you're feeling stuck, there has to be something in life somewhere that you can escape to, watching your favorite show, that completely turning your mind off to whatever is holding you down and disrupting your peace. So the first thing, that's the first thing. If you are a business owner like I am, or if you're a part-time business owner, if you're juggling multiple businesses, I'll give an example. A couple of things that might disrupt my peace, aside from juggling multiple businesses, is our customers, our clients, and they are and what you can and what you do, and what I had to do was put a system in place to put boundaries, setting boundaries between you and your customers, setting boundaries between you and your businesses. When I first started, I thought I had to be fully accessible to my clients. I do not.
No, you do not. It took me a long time to learn that.
And
State that's right there is the number one way to protect your peace. Making sure your customers know your time that you accept customer service calls, emails. I'm not gonna email you back at 2, 3 in the morning. Don't text me. It took me a long time to get there. Now
yeah.
I'm there. And I see we have a comment and it said I actually feel better when I have 3 days off versus 2 days off. Girl,
Mhm.
yeah, I know I have 5 days off and I love it. I wouldn't change my schedule for the world. I wouldn't change it because when you deal with hospitality industry, guests be team too much. That's all I'm gonna say without saying where I work. Cause y'all know I don't post that, but they be team too much. And I be like, honey, have you ever stayed at a hotel, baby? I don't think you have. But anyways, that was side combo. But
Yeah.
yeah, but that took me a long time to get there. And protecting my peace is making sure my customers know my boundaries.
Yeah. Setting clear expectations, letting people know, what your process is like and how it is going to be working with you, especially if you're in the service industry. Product, if you have products, it's a little different. And because I see a lot of screenshots and memes go around. One that saw just today, actually, somebody, I guess, texts. I don't know how you got your phone number, sis, but somebody, I guess, text somebody at 3 a.m. saying, "Hey, can I book an appointment?" I'm assuming they either do hair or nails. And the person responded, and they said, hello, like, don't be rude, say hello, something to that effect. And what I did, not which is maybe my tip number 2, maybe don't put so many expectations on the customer. You can't control how a customer comes at you. Not always, but you can control how you're going to deal with them going forward.
I
So
agree. I
just
feel like business owners get so upset about the smallest things that you let it ruin your day. Like, first off, that's money coming your way. So
mhm,
once you get past, everybody don't have home training. Like, let's be honest.
exactly.
So that little 3 in the morning text, I would have waited until the next day and said, "Good morning. What is your name? What are you looking for?" And I would have had my protocol in the most professional way possible. But I
Exactly.
wouldn't. That right there is gonna put a bad taste in their mouth, and they're gonna be. I wouldn't contact her because so now you ruin your reputation because word of mouth is still the most powerful way of marketing.
Exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't put too many expectations on a client or a potential client or customer at first, because I don't know them, they don't know me, and all of that. It's not, I'll put it this way, it's not the customer's job to be quote unquote professional. That's your job. So, yes, they text you at 3 in the morning, but you know what? Maybe they're a nurse. Maybe that's when they're up. They got off of work. This is when they have time. This is when they have time to conduct a little business. And we're assuming that this is a text. I mean, this could have been an email. This could have been an email or iMessage, but it's connected to their phone. You get what I'm saying? So no matter what, yes, their first point of contact was at 3 in the morning. But instead of going off at the customer for potential customer for contacting you at 3 in the morning, I will wait 2 business hours. Good morning. Thank you so much for your inquiry. This is how, this is our list of services, and this is how you can book. For future reference, if you would like a faster response, these are the hours that I can respond immediately.
I love how you just did that. How you just took that situation and you made it a good situation. But a lot of people, sometimes what I have seen, I know what you're talking about. I've seen it too. Yeah, but I haven't seen that response yet. I haven't.
So
I've
some
seen
people
the
are saying the
meme.
customer's in the wrong, and I can't stand customers. And I can sometimes I'm in a lot of business groups. Sometimes I could tell if someone's been in business like 5 years or less versus people who've been in business 5 years or more. Because people who have been in business 5 years or more, we are not pressed for a lot of things
Mm-mm.
because there are bigger issues. There are much bigger issues that um that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And having a potential client or customer come at you incorrectly, quote unquote, is not one of them.
No,
And
that's first off. I personally wouldn't care about that. That is me. Maybe I'm different, but that's a whole different conversation. Now, my next
yeah,
question is: how do you help creative people? 'Cause I know that is your niche, that is your market. You help creative people. So, how do you help us? Because I'm creative, so I want to know.
okay. So that really depends on their personal, each individual situation. But the reason why I started focusing on this niche is because I'm very observant. And what I do is I observe customer experience, client experience, user experience. That's a big part of building a person's brand is user experience. And I just observe a lot of people say, this person is talented, but and that but is normally they're not that professional, or they suck with communication, or they didn't clearly communicate what I was gonna get, and it wound up me I wound up getting something that I don't need, or something along the lines of, putting it frankly, creatives are bad at business, quote unquote. They might be super talented at whatever they do, but they are a little lacking on the business side. So what
I hate when people say that about creative people, because sometimes creative people, we have so much going on, we forget. We forget. Oh my god, we had an email here. We had this there. I'm I'm not a creative person. Like I forget a lot of stuff. Like it's to the point where I have a planner, and that's meanly stuck. I just dropped that planner, you guys, yesterday, and I have to write everything in the planner to make my day go easier. So yeah, I hate people say that about creative people, because
I
I'm one of
used
them
to
people.
I used to hate it too, but then as I observed more, I realized there might maybe not with everyone, but there might be a little truth to it. I mean, I know we all have a lot of things going on, but at the
So
same
you
time,
became the
that is
solution.
that is not the customer's problem. And I have to pick somebody up. I have, like, I gotta take care of I gotta take care of my grandmother. Gotta take my mom to the doctor's appointment. And all honesty, the things I just rattled off, aside from the children, the things I just rattled off are things I have going on in my personal life right now. But at the same time, that is not the customer's problem.
Mm-mm.
They want whatever they wanted to get from you. Whether it's, I'm more I mean, I do have my clothing line, but I don't promote it as much as I used to. So for me it's mostly services. So I basically had the way I help creative people is I show them how to turn their talent, their side hustle, their passion into a legitimate, viable, scalable, and profitable business.
So my next question for you,
Maybe not scalable. There's a couple of things we got to do in order to scale. We got to get you profitable first.
that brings me to my next question. So do you have any free consultations? Like, I don't know you, so I
Mhm.
want to talk to you. I want to see what can you do for me. Do you offer any of that services for anybody who is creative watching this?
Yes, I do. So I do. If you have a couple of questions, and if you are serious, I only take consultations from people who are, interested in specifically working with me. I don't do free consultations just to do them. But in terms of helping people for free, I used to do a lot of speaking engagements and workshops before the pandemic. Now those speaking engagements and workshops have gone virtual. But I also have my Facebook group called Find Your Brand Superpower. And through that group, I am posting branding tips daily, at least one daily, but most of the time I try to post multiple times a day within the group. But every day you're gonna get at least one brand tip on branding yourself. Most of the time is branding yourself. Sometimes it's about design, and the importance of design, and how functional, design also has a purpose. It's not supposed to look good. And, sometimes it's business development in general, but most of the time it's branding yourself.
So
And the
I,
difference
I
between
know you
branding and
said
marketing
bring
is
yourself
this.
twice. So
Yeah.
my question is, do you feel that the personal brand is more important than the business brand? Do I need to repeat that? Was I lagging when I asked that question?
Um, yes and no.
Okay.
Because what happens is a lot of people, especially going back to, especially with Facebook and Instagram, um, but more so Facebook, when people are inquiring about a service, and then if someone else is recommending that service, they're more likely to tag you, the person, than your business page. So for that reason, I do say that personal branding is as important, if not more important, than branding your business as well. I show people how to develop both. I feel like in this age of social media, in this age of, being online and being so accessible to people, the personal branding and branding your business kind of blurs a little bit. Think about it. 20 years ago, we didn't know who, I mean, Amazon has been around since the early 90s, but we didn't know who Jeff Bezos was. But now we do know who he is, and now we have people invested in his personal life, talking about like when he got divorced, and the settlement that he had to give his wife. And maybe some people know about his business practices. Now they won't even buy from Amazon because they feel like Jeff Bezos, the person, doesn't treat his employees well. So, on every scale, whether you're a small business or a large corporation, I feel like your personal brand and your business plan is pretty much merging, and there really isn't too much that a lot of people can do about that now because of how accessible everything is online.
Yes, that is very true. That's why I try to watch what I say and what I post, but then sometimes I really don't. I really don't care.
Yeah,
Like, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna be me. If I ever just so happen to blow up and be a millionaire, and somebody have problems with what I said 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I may release a statement, may not. It depends if I have a PR and they want to, because I probably don't care. But my next question is, how do you help creatives find their brand superpower? I know that was your thing. And before we get into that question, we have a commercial break, you guys, and it's featuring my guest, the K District.
Are you a creative or entrepreneur trying to turn your passion into a professional business that you can be proud of? In my experience with working with creatives, I saw that while talented, they aren't necessarily equipped to handle the business side of things. This inspired me to act and create the Power Brands and Messy Hands program to help you find your brand superpower. This program allows your business to be everything it should be. You deserve a flourishing business. All of your hard work and talent shouldn't be ignored and forgotten without an understanding of branding. It's difficult to stand out in a crowded market where everyone is doing the exact same thing that you are. So if you're ready to bring your business to new heights, join Power Brands and Messy Hands today.
I hope you guys like my commercial break featuring my guest, K District. Before we went to commercial break, I asked her a question, and my question was, how do you help creatives find their brand superpower?
So how I do that is this is more for people who are either a part of my program or they work one-on-one with me, whether it's just brand strategy or if it's on a design project. So what I do is spend a good amount of time really getting to know who you are as a person and what you would like your business to be. And then from there, I assess where you are right now and what are the steps that we need to take to get you where you need to be. Now, I help a lot of people. A lot of the people I help are either starting or restarting. So I let people know that I'm here to get you started and I'm here to get you to a certain level within your business. And then from there, once you get to that level, then we decide whether or not I have to refer you to someone else who can scale you even further. But before we get to that, I find out exactly, the simplest way I can put it is I find out exactly who you are and who you would like to be. And how do we get to and how do we find the people who are going to resonate with who you are and who you would like to be? So, for example, I say that my brand superpower is education. Before I even realized it, I spent a great deal of time educating clients. When I only did graphic design, I spent a great deal of time educating clients on the importance of design. I'll give you an example, like Apple computers. Apple computers don't just look good. They will last for like a million years. I know people, not me personally, I run my MacBooks into the ground, but for a lot of people, they have Apple laptops, they have like eBooks and iBooks that are still perfectly functioning from like the early to mid 2000s. And and that's an example of something that's designed well, but also functions well. People don't think about that with their logo and maybe the design of their marketing materials, but it is important. It is important than a lot more. It is a lot more important than small businesses realize. It's one of the reasons why large businesses spend so much money and so much time developing their brand, even though they don't technically need to anymore, because we all know who these big businesses are. And so mine was education. I had a client. We found out his was connection. Like, he was the person who knew a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy who could do introductions. And so part of what he did and part of his business, we incorporated his connections into his brand. When another person, when, while getting to know her, she is about living like, a luxurious life, but not the way people think. Luxury to her is basically just doing what you want,
I
and
love
not really
that.
and
I
not
like a
really
lot of people look at
worrying
that word
about
and they take something else from it. I love that. I really love
exactly.
it. That's different. But I think a lot of small businesses, their focus is cute. It is cute. That's
Mm-hmm,
what I have noticed because I do all my own graphics, and people ask me who do my graphics, and I'm like, I do them. But
mm-hmm,
my goal is not to be cute. Mine is where it can be functionable and readable because I don't like any fonts. I don't like cursive fonts because most people can't read them.
mm-hmm.
A lot of people just care about how their logos, how cute it is, or is the colors great, or this glitter logo,
Yep.
and a
Which
lot
I've
of people
never
don't even
said
real
that.
right. You know what's crazy? You know somebody said on Instagram, and I looked at glitter logos differently. Whenever you see a glitter logo, you know it's a black brand.
Not necessarily, because I recently
And when
saw
I looked at her,
we
no,
saw Coach in one of their use
that's
glitter.
what she said, right?
Oh,
And no, that's what she said. And she got ate up in the comments, right? And when she said it, I was like, I disagree with the comment, but what she did say was it's no HES code for a glitter logo. And I agreed with that comment. I didn't agree with the black part. I agreed with the HES code.
exactly.
She got tore apart when she said it. I was reading the comments. She deleted it, I think. And I was like, but I agree with what you said. A lot of people just care about how cute their branding look. But they're not thinking about 10 years from now. They're not think like when I think about my brand, I don't want to keep rebranding. And that's one of my problems with my clothing line. I keep rebranding, not looking farther. So I can
Mm,
speak from me and say that is a lot of small businesses failure right there is trying to just be cute when it's deeper than that. Your goal is to make money down the line. So how about you invest into your profitable business now and figure out what I need to do? And that
yeah,
includes a business plan too. And one of my good friends, Chris told me I need a business plan. And ever since he told me that, I knew he was right. Um,
I like the
I don't know how to say that word. What it says I
I
like
like the katana. Oh, the sword. It's called a katana.
oh
And Dragon Ball Z and Ghostbusters. That is all my fiance.
I don't see none of that. Where is that?
The katana is the red thing behind me. It's a sword. They're swords. My fiance is a a martial artist. And then the Dragon Ball Z. I don't even know. I don't even know how they can see that. Maybe because your graphic is blocking it. But and then the Ghostbusters. Those are all my fiance's figurines.
I would have never with Anthony. Thank you for noticing that. That is so amazing because I didn't know what any of
He
that
and
was.
I are huge, huge nerds. That's a sidebar. He and I are huge, huge nerds. If I showed you all the rest of the walls, my wall is, all my logos, and this is the only clean wall in the room. The rest of the walls are celebrities that we've taken pictures with it at conventions, pictures of us in our cosplays, um,
You know what,
posters, all that.
my sister will love you. She loves anime. She's an anime artist,
Okay.
and I when we get off here, I need to talk to you.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I can do it on live. How would you help a struggling artist who focuses anime and cute art, but it's hard for her to get business and her art is really cute and marketable?
So artists are fine artists, illustrators, all of that. They're not tricky, but unfortunately, there's no general answer I can give for that. It really really depends on specifically what they want to do and how they want to do it. Some people just want to sell their art, and but some people or some people want to take commissions. Some people want to do a little bit of both. Some people want to put their art on like clothing and accessories and things like that. Um, and it's all I have one one's an artist. She's 16. Another person is a voice actor. Those are the ones and in the past I've worked with another graphic designer actually. So, and all of them I've had to take different approaches with all of them. So
Okay.
it's really about
We have
finding
a question. The question.
Go ahead.
We had a question. I'm not sure if it's for you. The question is, can I make a suggestion on your website? I'm not sure who website you are referring to. I'm not sure if you're referring to mine's or hers. So I'm gonna put her website back up, you guys. And my sister website is cmjshop.net. But I'm not sure who website you're referring to.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to see that. I don't know who the question was for, but these are her websites right here. Mine is amoralore.com and it's zachariahworld.com. And if you're watching from my Amoralore website, it's amoralore.com. That little slash the bedroom talk show. So I'm not sure. Okay, you answered. Thank you. I'm on the tablet. I'm not sure. It's different on the
Oh,
PC.
yes. I actually recently did
Okay.
I actually recently did a training and I changed the banner. And that banner was dark, so it had the white text. I need to go back and change it back to its original darker text. But thank you for catching that.
Oh, that was for you. Well, thank you, because I wasn't sure who he was referring to, because we both have websites. I have multiple websites, and I'm like, wait, which?
No,
Hold
as
up.
soon as he said that, I knew exactly who he was talking about.
I wasn't sure. I was like, wait, because I love feedback. Like I'm
Yeah.
the type of business owner. I can take criticism. It took me a minute to get there. It
Hmm.
took me a long time to get there, but I can take me some criticism, and I'm like, okay, let me get this.
And that's another thing about protecting your peace. Um, yeah. That's another thing about protecting your peace, especially with creatives. We're sensitive. I acknowledge that
I'm very
I'm a
sensitive.
little or a lot less sensitive than a lot of people. So I think I acknowledge that I probably can get through this easier than the next person. But um, that's a little bit of things that I touch on, especially within my program. Like we kind of have to separate ourselves from our business. One thing I do, especially with creatives, because one thing I don't want to do is stifle someone's creativity. And sometimes, and I know it's not, ultimately up to me to decide this or not, but I ask a lot of questions to really, really see if someone actually wants to turn their art or their talent into a business. And the reason why I do that is because people will try you. They will really try you and they will really test you, and they will make you feel like you're not as talented as you think you are, or they will rip you to shreds. They will.
Oh, can I stop you right there?
Go ahead.
Being a fashion designer, well, I retired myself. I agree. Like exactly what you said is a very true thing. Like sometimes people will have me like doubting myself. Like, am I really a dope designer? And am I really worth the money? People are saying I'm too expensive. It that is true. Like people will try you when you're creative. And what my biggest issue when I was a fashion designer is I can get it from Fashion Nova.
Okay.
Fashion, well, go ahead, because Fashion Nova get it mass produced. I'm making it one by one. And that was my issue when I was a creative. And I'm still creative, but I'm creative differently now. But it made me stop loving fashion the way I used to, because people would come at me so crazy, and I started to doubt my talent. So when you said, "Oh, I said, can I stop it right there?" Because I can testify to that. Like it when people start to try you too much, you would start to doubt yourself, and then it'll push you into this little corner. And it would have did to me. And to this day, people ask me, when you gonna start about your fashion brand? I never stopped it. I just don't make clothes no more because y'all are ungrateful and y'all are cheap. But I can't tell people that, because people gonna be looking at me like, what? I don't sell no more because people are too cheap. Y'all want me to make an outfit for $20 when the fabric and everything costs $40 and I ain't make no profit. I can't. So I love when you said that, because I had to come piggyback off of that, because me being creative, my mind, I forget stuff. And
Yeah.
then you said sensitive. I am very, 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 very sensitive.
Yeah. And the thing is, I work with people on kind of separating themselves, your talent and your art isn't your hustle anymore. It's your business. So we kind of, just like when you used to have a 9 to 5, and at 5 o'clock when you punched out and you closed yourself off for the day, and didn't think about the job to the next day. You kind of have to do that with your business, even though you're technically running your business 24/7. And so we do running a business, a lot of mental shifts. You got to compartmentalize a lot of things. And that's something I help a little bit in working through. And, and then on top of that, you mentioned the people who are too cheap and things like that. Let me tell you, there's always someone who will pay your price. So we also go about finding people. Another part, so that's the next point I'll make with protecting your peace. You find people who love you and want to work with you and want to buy from you. It's called, the technical term is your target audience or your target market. But you learn. I mean, I am fully aware there's people out here who is not going to charge who is not going to pay no more than $50 or $100 for a logo. My lowest logo design package is $1,000. That's my lowest one. And I mean, it's what I do full time. Is how I keep my lights on. So obviously I have no issues. Finding people who will pay those prices. And I will say I faltered a little bit last year. People losing their jobs, people losing their business. Coming to me, oh, I really want to work with you. I don't have no money, and I lowered my prices. And it took me to the end of last year to filter out all those people who were real headaches. But it reminded me why I have my prices set the way that they are, because
What's
I don't
crazy?
know.
I know what you about to say. When
The
your
higher the
prices
price,
are low,
the less the headache.
let me tell you, my mentor, and my mentor is very successful. His brand is known. But what I love about my mentor, what I learned from him one time, this customer came in. I hope he don't kill me for telling this story. If you watching this, please don't kill me, because he tuned in. So I'm gonna say what happened. I was on the machine and I was just helping him with his stuff. This customer came in. She wanted something, or he or she wanted something. He gave them the most outrageous price. And I looked at him like, that don't cost that much. He said, look, I don't feel like dealing with that customer.
Mm-hmm.
But then the customer came back and paid. And I was like, you gotta deal with that customer now.
I don't
And
charge
And it was
a
so
fee.
funny, and that customer was so nice. We had no issues, but I saw the difference when they was cheaper customers. They was nagging, like, you done my order? Can I see updates? Annoying. Customers that spend money, they just go about their business, and that's what I do with my books. I just pay my money, and I ask for updates here and there, and I just go about my business. I don't really care, because I hired you for a reason.
Now, I mean, I still do have lower cost services, but those services are things that I can either do with my eyes closed, I can get done, pretty quickly, and I don't have that much contact with the customer. But if you want access to me, you gotta pay for that. Want access to my team? Like, you want direct access to my team? You got to pay for that. So, what you were talking about when he said that he didn't want to deal with the customer, we call it a PITA tax, PITA, pain in the ass tax. I guess that's what he was charging.
I was looking at him like, and I love my mentor. My mentor is my friend to this day. I'd be looking at him like, what? Why you do that? And there was a lot of things I saw him do that I'm like, okay, it makes, now that I'm like fully out here, it makes sense. Like, if I want to deal with somebody, my price is my price, and I'm not changing it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you turn around and pay it, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna have to deal with you. That's just, and he had to deal with that customer. I can't remember if it was a man or woman. It
For
was
the
a
record,
simple
I do not
design.
charge higher if I think you're going to be a problem. I do not do that. But the PITA tax comes from, asking for so many revisions or asking for so many changes. Of course, you got to charge for all those changes. So that's when we just call it a PITA tax.
You know what's crazy? On my show, I learn something every week. I be okay. Peter, okay. I just learned something new that I didn't have no comment, y'all. And if
It's really
y'all
big in
are
the
not new
design.
to
It
my
really
podcast,
is in the graphic design world. We know that term very well.
that is funny. And I'm a fashion designer, and I seen him do that to people. But you guys, if this is your first time watching my podcast or listening, I'm kind of not fully myself. My chest hurts, so my energy is a little low today. So please forgive me. I'm sorry. I'm not like throwing these questions at her back to back because I'm trying to pace myself. So just in case anybody who is a real roommate, I'm telling you guys what's going on.
Okay.
Would you lower your price if you know the customer would make many purchases? That is a good point.
That depends
No,
that depends on the service you need.
I'll for me, for me, yes. So let's say you want to order 100 books. I'm going to give you a discount
Mhm.
of a certain amount. So let's say you come back again and you want to order another 100 books. That discount code you can keep using because you are still, for me, it's a yes, but it's only if I know you're a repeat customer and you buy in large quantity for me. It's only large quantity for me. I don't give
Yeah.
discounts on my books if it's not a large quantity. And large quantity for me is 50 and up. I mean, actually 30 and
Okay.
up.
That depends
So
on the service. So with printing, of course, if you order 100 business cards versus 100,000 business cards, the cost per unit, of course, is going to be lower. But if you need a whole bunch of websites for some reason, or a whole bunch of logos for some reason, I might try to find a better solution for you. Sometimes people need a suite of logos because they have a company like an umbrella company and then several subsidiaries. And then that still depends because those subsidiaries could have nothing to do with each other. But if they're similar, we could possibly work something out. But I mean, it's a hard question to answer. It really does depend on the service.
and you said sweet logos. So you have an umbrella logo, right? So it's the main logo. And then you said sweet logos. Can you break that down for us who are not in the graphic design world?
Okay, so let's think about it this way. Let's think about Nike, right?
Okay.
So Nike has not, they don't really have a suite. They kind of do, they kind of don't. So you have the swoosh with the name Nike, with the name Nike with it. But then you might have the name Nike by itself, and then maybe you have the swoosh by itself. So that is considered a logo suite. Your main logo, your alternate logo, and then your submark. So that is what I mean when I say a suite. If you go on my website, there are a couple of examples where you can actually see, and it's identified main, alternate, and sub. But that's what basically a suite of logos is best used. The reason why we start using a suite of logos is because sometimes certain applications, your regular logo may not fit. So for example, let's say your website and your logo is more like square or circle or longer, up and down. If you look at a web banner, it may not fit well, especially because when you scroll through websites, the logo will get smaller, then you don't see it as well anymore. So a more horizontal logo will work better in a web banner. So
Mm.
we'll design it in a way to work horizontally as well as vertically.
Okay, so is a submark logo and a sweet logo, are that the same
So we
thing?
well, we say the reason why we say suite because
Mhm.
it's just like multiple logos
Okay.
when you think about it. But your main, your alternate, and your sub are a couple of things that a couple are the three main ones that we use. Another example would probably be, I know Coca-Cola has a suite, and it's weird because I recently just did a case study on Coca-Cola, and I'm picturing it in my mind, but I can't remember how it looks. So, but Coca-Cola recently did something similar where they kind of broke out um, their suite of several different logos. So Nike was the quickest one or the first one I could think of, but there are several companies that do that. Let's see.
You just
I'm
taught
trying,
me something.
I'm trying to find a notable company or a company that we do it. Okay, FedEx.
He got another question for you.
Okay.
He said, when you make a logo, do you come up with multiple concepts and let the customer pick, or is it one concept that you make alterations to? That is
So
a good question.
we start with several concepts, usually up to seven. At least four, but up to seven. And then from there, from the first concept, we call those like rough concepts because that's not going to be your final. Or is most likely not going to be your final. And then from there we choose. From there we choose from the concept that you choose. We say, okay, we want to go in this direction. We create variations of that concept because say I like example number one, but I like this little element that you put into example number three. Let's see how that looks combined. And we'll probably go on average 2 to 3 times, two to three rounds of revisions before we get to your final.
I think that was a really good question, in my
Um,
opinion. I
I
like the question. Did you
found
have
an example. I don't know if you can see it. Crap. FedEx. FedEx has a suite of logos because they have FedEx Corporation, they have FedEx Services, FedEx Express, FedEx Ground, FedEx Freight, FedEx Office, FedEx
I didn't,
Trade.
you know what? When I get off here, I'm gonna look at FedEx. I'm gonna look at their logos. I didn't even think of that.
So that's
You,
what we consider a suite of logos. They're not that they're similar, but
is it spelled SUITE?
I'm sorry.
How is it spelled?
FedEx,
SUITE? No, suite of logos.
yeah,
Okay.
SUITE.
Okay, cool. Cause I'm gonna look, girl. You know I do all my own graphics, so I be trying to learn.
So
I
yeah,
was gonna be a graphic designer, then I changed my mind. I didn't want to do it
so,
no more.
yeah, FedEx is a good example because they have several different branches, quote unquote, and I guess theirs is almost the exact same logo, except they changed the, services grounds. They add a dog to the home delivery one. They had the little star thing to the office one. And they changed the color scheme. So that's how they differentiate their branding for for their different services.
Okay, that was a good nugget because you just taught me something about the difference between submark logos, alternate logos. You just gave the logos breakdown.
Yeah. And
So,
I told
but
you
my
that they're not getting three different logos, people. They're supposed to look similar. They're supposed to look similar.
I know
Yeah.
exactly what it. Like I
No, so
said, I do my own graphics. I don't have.
some people think that.
Oh no, I don't know why. All my logos look very similar. All three, you could tell it's the same brand. This how I tell people about my brand. You can look at all of my brands across the board, and you know each brand is different,
Yeah.
and each logo follows that brand. Now I haven't paid a logo designer in years because the last one I had, She could not give me my hex codes.
Oh wow.
I emailed this. I learned this years later. So I emailed her like, okay, hey, can you send me my hex codes? Can you tell me the font you use so I can put it in my branding guide? She couldn't give me this stuff. She never emailed me back. And
Wow.
I decided after that, I never wanted a graphic designer again. And I have never hired another graphic designer
That
because
is
of that.
pretty
Because
standard.
yeah, she didn't give me any. All she did back then was give me my PN. She gave me one file, PNG. Now that I'm in the graphic world and I understand it, I'm like, what?
Mhm.
Like I emailed her. I said, hey, can you send me the rest of my files to my logo? I know you did my logo like 2 years ago, but this is not looking right on certain things. So can you send me my logo, my source file? Can you send me everything? And I didn't. Now I know it's not create a logo for me. I'm contracting you to tell you that that's 100% mine. So you just designing it. But I didn't do that
Mhm.
then. So I changed it and I did all my own stuff. And I don't use graphic designers anymore because of that issue I had back then. If you can't provide me with my HES code, which is so simple, and my
Mhm.
fonts, I can't work with you. I
Exactly.
I'm that deep.
I know, unfortunately, there are people who feel that just because they downloaded Photoshop to their computer, that they're now a graphic designer professionally, and that's not the case. So, um, and that's something that when I coach other designers who want to, like, eventually own their own studio or do this full time, for on
Hmm.
their own, um, I let them know this is something that you're going to have to combat. People ask me, how do I deal with Fiverr and people who are charging like $10 for graphics? I was like, they're not even on my radar. I don't have to worry about those people because the people who want to only pay $10 for graphics are not my audience, and I'm not even going to try to talk to them. $10 is less than minimum wage where I live. So I don't spend too much time. If they want to pay the $10 designer, cool. But because a lot of those people who pay the $10 designers eventually come to me anyway.
I'm gonna be
After
honest.
they
I
realize
use
they
Fiverr. I use Fiverr. And I have had great experiences. And I have a great experience. I only had one bad incident where I had to fire a designer. Well, I had a couple of them, but one when they was actually stealing people work, and I noticed it, and I had to. That's the only issue about using Fiverr is
yeah.
you
The
maybe
thing is,
you may have somebody else work.
don't get me wrong. Fiverr exists for a reason. We're aware that people, or we at least we as designers should be aware that people there aren't people no not everybody have the budget to pay to pay 1,000 plus for some graphics. We understand that, but just like there are Kias and Aston Martins, there's Fiverr, and then there's a branding agency, and I own a branding agency. So I can't because of that, I can't charge what Fiverr charges. So when people ask, when I'm coaching other graphic designers, um, what I tell them is that you have to position yourself in a way where people who are looking at Fiverr aren't even looking for you, and vice versa. If people are comparing you to Fiverr, then we need to talk. Then we need to talk about what's going on in your branding, and not necessarily your visual branding. Your brand is your overall process, your customer service, and how you are articulating yourself and presenting yourself. If you have a team, how's your team presenting yourself? Presenting themselves, and that all of that makes up your brand, and all of that makes up the customer experience. So they if you want to be the Mercedes Benz in your industry, you have to present yourself that way. And not saying that we're presenting ourselves at the Mercedes Benz of our business, but we at least Mazda.
Okay, Anthony, I like you. The audio logo with the needle on your site was pretty cool. You know
Thank
what?
you.
I haven't even looked at her logos. I'm going to go do that.
I
But
did. Oh my God, I worked with that client 6 or 7 years ago, but we still do work for him every once in a while. So that's why that work is still up.
Let me tell you, it is hard to find a good graphic designer. And once you find a good graphic designer, keep them because finding quality work is hard.
It's one of
Everybody can't
the
design.
it's one of the reasons why what you just said about your bad experience is the reason why I wrote the ebook that I wrote called I Need a Graphic Designer Now What? And it basically tells you all the things that you should do to vet a graphic designer. And I'm not, and I'm telling you, this is not something I wrote to like convince people to work with me. Like everybody doesn't need to work with me. I might not, like, me and my team might not have the style that you are looking for.
Right.
And in a consultation, if I realize that, I'm like, you know what? I think the style that you're looking for, I think this person, and I mean, I know tons of designers. We all roll together. We might hand off each other's work to each other, whether there's overflow or we just feel like there's not a good fit and we feel like we're a fit for somebody, the person's a fit for somebody else. So in that book, I basically outline what you should look for when vetting a graphic designer and what the basic knowledge that they should have. Because going into this, you don't know what you're looking for. You don't know what you need, and technically you're not supposed to know what you need. You're not supposed to know what you need. That's the designer's job. But unfortunately, they there are people out here, like what I just said previously, people who feel like just because they have that Photoshop and Canva downloaded to the computer, now they're a professional designer. That's not the case. So if you get the book, it'll just outline what you need to look for when you're hiring a professional and what you can expect based on what you do. All right.
But I love Canva. And I love Canva. Now I use Canva a lot for a lot of my projects.
I'll design branded graphics for clients and for them to use in Canva.
I love Canva. I have a designer that I do use. I thought about it just now, and I told her to do everything in Canva for I can go back and fix it for my branding, for I can take certain things out, and I love it for my social media templates. I love Canva. My last question for you is: how do you cope with stress owning multiple businesses?
I feel pretty blessed and privileged to be in a place where I can do nothing for a while. I felt that way during shutdown last year for a little bit. I've been feeling that way recently just with planning my wedding and then also planning and then also just a couple of family things that are going on. So the way I cope with stress is just doing nothing. Sometimes I will do some body art. I like, painting my face and my legs and my arms every once in a while. I haven't done it in a while actually. But that is my creative body art and special effects makeup. Although I have done it for, some film projects and television. It's mainly my creative outlet. I don't do that for a living. I do it as a fun way, as my creative outlet, and maybe every once in a while I'll make money from it. So, but aside from that, I do just sitting and doing nothing. Like today, I really didn't do much of anything because I wasn't really feeling well. And yeah, I feel blessed that I'm actually able to do that. I understand that a lot of people may not be in a place financially to be able to do that. Now, don't get me wrong, I can't do it for a long time. I could do it for maybe a month and then I'm like, oh damn, I need to get back to work. But to be able to do it for any amount of time is something that definitely helps me definitely helps me de-stress. Aside from that, I'll talk to my fiance about what's going on. Talking helps me de-stress. So I'll talk to my fiance about what's going on, my mother, my best friend.
Yes, talking helps me de-stress too.
Yeah.
I normally talk to my friends, and that's normally how I de-stress.
Mm.
And I I don't know, I do things with my son and stuff like that. So that's what you hear in the background right now.
Oh.
Yeah, I hear him in the background right now. He's playing. That's why y'all keep seeing me go off the screen. What kind of work did you do for Gucci? Is your question?
It's real simple. It was like real simple work. It was schematics for a new store. It was like one of the most least design most least design oriented design jobs that I ever did. But according to my coach, she said I should put that on. I should keep that mention that anyway. So that's why it's still up there.
I think you should keep it up because number one, Gucci is well, me being pro black, I had something to say, then I thought about it. But Gucci is a very
This
known
was way before then.
I know, I know. I was like, but it's a very
this is
well
way
known
before we realized they was on some stuff.
they've been on it, but we
I mean,
wasn't
yeah,
woke. We
yeah.
wasn't woke. Look what they did to Dasher Dam. I can't remember his name right now. That's how y'all know that my chest hurt. But I'm proud of you because that's a big accomplishment, and I would have kept that up too. But yeah, you remember before when I told y'all how pro black I am? I was like, oop, I was about to get into it. I was like, nope, not today. Not today. We don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Mr. Anthony, do you have any more questions for her before we end this live? And you said, of course, keep up the good work. Yes, keep up the good work. I love seeing my black queens doing nothing but black magic and putting it into this
Thank
atmosphere.
you. I'm
I
trying.
really do love seeing
Always.
that. Did you have any questions for me before we end this live?
No.
Yes, we always trying to like
Had a
just push
had
ourselves. Do you
take
have
a
any
chance
questions
to
for me
check
before we
out.
end this live?
I had a chance to check out, some of your stuff. I love what you're doing as well. And thank you so much for this
Thank you.
having this platform and putting people on. This is what more of us need to be doing.
Thank you so much. And Anthony, thank you so much for liking the show. I go live every Monday at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and I always try to interview a black queen. And I try to interview other people as well because I feel like everybody have a story that need to be heard. And thank you for liking my autism, me being an advocate for autism because it's very near and dear to me. And I really hope that my movement is going to spread like fire and people start to realize that autism also live in the black community and we need to address it and we need to understand it and nurture it and just try to be understanding to our kids and people on the spectrum as well. So that's just my feelings towards autism. You guys, if you don't know, y'all know I'm an advocate. You know I'm gonna bring it up every show if I can. I try to make it about my guests. That's why y'all see me pull back, then come back, pull back, then come back. I don't never try to be on here and talk too much because it's really about the guests. And you guys get to meet a new guest every week, a new business, and support a new black business. Because if we're not circulating the black dollar, what are we doing?
Exactly.
I tell you guys all the time, at least support 2 black businesses a month. At least two. I do
Mhm.
more than two, but B do two. Start off by doing one. Then by the end of the year, you should have supported more than 12 businesses, black owned businesses. Even
Yeah,
if you're not black, you should still support black owned businesses. I said
exactly.
what I said. If
I
you
tell
want to be the
people,
solution to helping black people, support black people. I
yeah.
said what I said and I meant what I said. I don't care who take that the wrong way, cut it, dice it, replay it. I
Mhm.
said what I said. I'm always pro black. But if nobody have any more questions for me, next week I go live and I'm interviewing DJ. Give me that beat. He's a very famous DJ in New Orleans. I'm very excited to have him on my platform this week, and I cannot wait to talk to the creative of bounce music. So next week, make sure y'all tune in for me and DJ. Give me that beat. So with that being stated, thank you guys, and thank you for being on my platform, and thank you so much.
Guys, thank you
And
so
you have
much. Good night.
you're welcome. Good night.